cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. It's time again.
What up, y'all? You tuned in to the 52 Scott Podcast. This is Music Monday, and I'm your host, Slash. And with me, I got Comedian 96, K Money, Freddie G. Together, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast. On Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. All right, welcome back to another Music Monday. Got another great topic for you this week. On last week, we lost another pioneer of our music industry, black music. And for those who are, big fans of black music, I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. The dude, Quincy Jones. He was like the top performer in his musical career that lasted 70 years. So you can imagine just a 70-year span. 70 years.
That's a lot.
It's a long time, man. This man was 20-something, starting his musical career, which that's understandable, and he's helped a lot of people that were younger than him. He passed on November 3rd, which was last week. We weren't able to cover that because it was after we had already covered, our last Monday's topic. So we want to bring it to you this week. And for those of you that know of Quincy Jones, he's responsible for a lot of people's careers, and these are very successful musicians and singers that he's responsible for, making a career for. One of the top I have to mention is, of course, Michael Jackson.
Yep,
King of Pop.
King of Pop. If I don't want to just say if it weren't for Quincy Jones, but I think Quincy Jones had a lot of influence on Mike's career as well as Berry Gordy. There were others that he, helped out a lot. Some that we know. Al B. Sure was one of the people. James Ingram. He had that one song, Secret Garden, which included all of them. As well as Barry White.
And Barry White, yep.
Barry White.
And Barry White was, of course, one of our own.
You're right.
Yeah, he had the deepest voice. I think it was the sex appeal to the women that he was selling with his voice, which I do understand. Now, back to Quincy. Quincy he started out that I know, he played trumpet, and they depicted this in that movie Ray. Yeah. That if y'all can recall, Ray was trying to get into a club that they wouldn't let him in.
I think Lorenz Tate played that part.
Lorenz Tate played Quincy Jones' part. Well, Quincy was the person to help Ray get into this club so that he can get, performances or start getting paid to do these gigs in that club or whatever. So Quincy's been around a lot of good guys, man, and he came in prominence in 1950 as a jazz arranger. So if you know what an arranger is, let me just give you an idea of what an arranger and conductor is when producing music. An arranger is a person who says, okay, this part right here needs to be the verse. This part needs to be the hook. Oh, let's change it up right here a little bit. He's arranging the song to be song form for what he's feeling as far as the sound he's trying to, bring to you.
Right.
So he can put maybe a string section here. And what I know about him being an arranger is he writes sheet music also. And that's not easy.
That is not easy.
You can study music. You can learn how to read sheet music. But I think writing sheet music takes a different quality and a different skill from a musician.
Right.
Slash, when you say he's writing, he's writing to the point where he doesn't even have any musical instruments around him. He's just writing freehand.
Correct.
Yeah, that's talent.
Correct.
Yeah,
and you may be sitting with a piano or some sort of keyboard, playing it, but you saying, okay, I'm going to put it on paper so somebody else can play it. And this is how he did his career, which is why when you see that he started out as an arranger, a jazz arranger, and a conductor, because that's what they do.
Right.
A conductor is a little bit different. What their job is when there's a symphony or band playing, they are the ones who call the motion for the different instrument players.
Right, and keeps the tempo.
And keeps the tempo. So he done all of this, and that's a different skill. You have to. It's a lot of talent required to be able to do what Quincy Jones did, and I think he was so successful because he decided to help a lot of people. And not only did he help musicians, he did a lot even in television. It wasn't just music,
Right.
And I want to mention the fact that not only was he good at music, but he was also a part of the EGOT Club.
The EGOT.
And what EGOT is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award winner.
So Emmy, EGOT. You know what's so stupid? Why didn't they like to say the GOAT? Why didn't just name it the GOAT Award? GOTE.
Because it's an E in it.
GOTE. GOAT. Emmy, Grammy,
Yeah, if
Oscar,
you spell it that
Tony.
way. Now
GOAT.
let me
It's
say
still the
something.
same thing.
I
GOAT.
understand what you're saying, but what you need to do is take that to the Music Academy.
Yeah, that's true.
And see if they want to do that.
Do that, yeah. They call it the EGOT, call it the GOAT.
Yeah,
Y'all said it already.
Because it wouldn't be a bad idea, but now you got to think about they changing whatever they did years and years and years ago.
Years ago.
But at the same time, I think Quincy Jones was very deserving of all of the Grammys and stuff that he won. Now he's produced 16 studio albums. He won 28 Grammys total in his 70-year career,
And he was nominated for 80.
and nominated for 80. Now that's a big nomination.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's
80.
80.
That means these are 80 different projects
That you did.
that I know of. Now maybe some were the same song somewhere, but I doubt it because it's a year thing. So every year you dropping something different,
So you made me think about something, Slash. You say he was an arranger.
Yeah.
And you just explained to the audience what an arranger is. So I'm thinking about that Thriller album, right?
Right.
And remember they had Vincent Price on the
On the
song
album. Yeah.
Thriller. So I'm saying to myself, man, who had the wherewithal and the knowledge to say, let's go get Vincent Price this with that voice
For the horror
to
sound.
the horror sound to put in there. I thought that was pretty clever.
Brilliant.
I
Yeah, that
would
was
say
brilliant.
I would say it was timing. Timing is due to the timing because remember back in the day we had scary movies was a thing. You had Vincent Price. You had what's the lady with the big breasts? I can't think of her name.
Everybody used to be
Elvira.
glued to that.
Elvira. Elvira.
Mistress of the Dark.
Yeah, you had the Creep Show dude hosting his own show. Elvira had her own show. Vincent had his own show. Alfred Hitchcock had his own show. So the scary movie was a thing, but Vincent was the hottest of the four. Oh, well, Elvira too. They were both hot, but Vincent had that voice. So
I
it
think-
fit perfect for a scary movie.
I think Quincy Jones just had an idea of where Mike was trying to go when he came. I don't know how it all went about, but I'm sure it was a conversation where Mike was saying, I want this song to kind of be horror. I want the video to be horror because of the name of it, Thriller. And when you put it all together, it's basic creativity. If you're
Very
gonna
much so.
if you're gonna call a song Thriller, you need to show us why is this a thriller? What's a thriller? A horror movie is a thriller. You need to thrill us in the video. So I think the whole concept of it all was because of Quincy's he had the television side as well as the musical side, and I think when you put the creativity together, he was able to satisfy both sides.
You mentioned earlier, Slash, that he played the trumpet.
Yeah.
He was able to perform with the likes of Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah.
He also performed with Elvis
Yeah.
back in the day, yeah, and Frank Sinatra. So, it's a lot of prominent musicians that, Quincy definitely had a hand on being involved with.
And even when you say musicians from other genres, if you go back and you listen to some of the older, like James Bond movies, Quincy was actually doing scores.
He was doing that too?
Yes, sir, in these movies. I mean, a lot of the popular tunes that's not of, black culture.
Yeah.
Some of those that were in movies that they'll use in other movies to kind of give you a general idea that, hey, we're trying to be like this movie. They'll use the scoring that he did because of the popular sound to it.
That Bond movie, all those Bond movies, he had his hand in that too.
It's a lot of stuff.
I would like to see his network.
You can't miss Quincy Jones when it comes to music, and anybody that was interested in doing these types of movies and scores and stuff like that should kind of pattern themselves behind Quincy Jones, because I think that's the only way you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, the blueprint.
You know what I'm saying? That's the blueprint. You got to be able to work with anybody and everybody. That's what that says to me about Quincy. He was able to work with a lot of people. A lot of people trusted his creativity. He trusted their musician skills, and it meshed. So when we talk about producers, and Quincy Jones was a producer, but when we talk about producers, you got to think, it's so much to it. Producing, you don't have to just play every instrument. You don't have to produce every sound. It's a matter of your creativity and being able to say, you know what, I think this bass player would sound perfect right here. You got 3 bass players over there. Yeah. I think the creativity in it is saying, now, you know what, John ain't going to do as well as Billy. I'm going to put Billy on this one. I'm going to let John get that one because John got a certain feel to his music that Billy don't have. So I think all of that is a creativity that you have to have, which kind of a management skill in a sense that I think he had, which is why some of these artists' careers were skyrocketing. I mean,
so it sounds like it's a fine line between producing and arranging.
Yeah, it's a big difference in that. Producing goes several different ways, and again, I think Quincy had them all. Quincy could play instruments. Quincy could hear. Quincy could write the music. He could write the music for you.
I know that this show is about Quincy. Do you think if Prince was here, he could have duplicated Quincy? He's about the only person I could think of that can do all the instruments and probably write. I don't know about his writing skills at all on music, but if he can play them all, I'm pretty sure he could have written.
Well, yeah, Prince was another genius.
Yeah.
He was a musical genius. And Quincy also. They just came from 2 different directions.
Directions of music, yeah.
Because I don't think Quincy played as many instruments as Prince did.
Yeah.
But if Prince played that many instruments, in a sense, he's writing music
for everybody,
for all of those instruments.
Yep.
I think Ray Charles was someone that was close to doing something similar, and what made his even more extraordinary is the fact that he was blind, but he and Quincy had a very special friendship.
Oh, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, Quincy kind of helped, overlook where he's performing at for a while. Let me help you get into places that you can't get in. I'll take care of you on the road type of deal.
Right.
Which was cool of Quincy to do that for somebody that's blind. But what Quincy knew was, hey, this person right here got the talent that's going to succeed. Now, he can't see, but he can see what I'm trying to do.
He can hear.
You know what I'm saying? Because Ray could get on a piano and he couldn't see the keys, but he knew where they was.
Yep.
Man, do you know how amazing that's got to be? Bro, I got a keyboard that I look at every day.
And can't play shit half as good as Ray.
I can't do it twice. Let me say that.
We accident.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The first time, I'm going to do it.
The only play I play.
I'll never do this shit again.
It's an accident.
So that's why I say there's a difference in producing, because when I'm sitting there and I'm coming up with something, I'm not as talented in the writing as he is. But what the good part about producing and not being that talented is that there's a record button. And with that record button, you have the option to say, okay, let me keep this. Nah, let me get rid of it. I didn't do so well. Let me try again. Quincy's skills didn't require a record button.
No.
Quincy was a beast. He wrote, you could give him a blank sheet of paper and he finna write a song on this blank sheet of paper. Music notes, not words.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different type of talent. So I think he deserved all of the Grammys that he won. He probably deserved more than what he received throughout his 70-year career, because 70 years is a long time.
That's a long time.
But he brought a lot of people in, and hopefully that they can carry that torch, you know, and keep his name alive. Because, of course, we know that a lot of the people that we chose to listen to or that were around while we were younger, of course, are passing now.
Here's something we missed. Sanford and Son.
Yeah, of course.
That was him?
Man,
was him.
the music. Now, that's what and I'm glad you mentioned that, Freddie G, because what I want y'all to think about is the instruments in that track. That's a harmonica.
Yep.
You didn't hear harmonica much unless it was Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder went in on a harmonica.
Right.
So what Quincy said was, you know what, Stevie Wonder making hits with a harmonica. What's the best thing for a sitcom show that nobody's doing? Let me put a harmonica on there.
Everybody had, if you notice all the intros, all the songs, they all had the same sound of music. Go.
Well, that was
every song.
Let me clarify.
Every doesn't matter.
Let me clarify what that was. That was the era.
Yeah.
That was a funk guitar, wah-wah.
Yeah.
That was that era,
Yeah.
the 70s. That's where they were.
Most songs had that same
Majority of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's done so much, and I feel he's creative because it's a certain sound. Even, you know, when you starting off a song, what's gonna make this catchy?
Yeah.
That's the first thing you have to have, and he hit it right on the nose with Sanford and Son. You know, so yeah.
Let's bring it back forward now. We missed one girl, and this one of my Tamia. You put a move on our heart. That's a good one.
So did he produce that song?
Yes, he's sitting in the booth and directing her the whole time. Yeah, that song, that was one of her biggest songs. That was her breakout song, basically.
Yeah.
That was her first song, her first album. And that song went live, and that's where everybody knew who Tamia was. And then she came out with You Put a Move on My Heart. I mean, I'm So Into You, which was the next one.
What about Tevin Campbell?
Yeah, Tevin Campbell. He brought Tevin Campbell out. Right now, Tevin Campbell got a hit that's been a hit since it came out. And I don't care where you play it at. The minute you play it, everybody's singing it.
Yep.
I can't think of the name of the song right now. But I know.
Well, let me say this. Quincy brought Kevin out with Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow will be
All the
a better
kids.
you, a better me.
Yeah.
Those
And-
were all them kids.
And
right?
from there, his career soared.
Now his hit, the hit that comes, he had a bunch of hits, but one of the hits, when we think of it, didn't come from Quincy.
Didn't come from Quincy.
It came from Babyface.
Yeah.
And that's Can We Talk?
Can we talk? But there wouldn't have been a Can We Talk had there not been a Quincy Jones.
Facts.
You know, so again, Quincy name is gonna come up for many years to come from a lot of artists that he's done work for, and a lot of people he's opened the door for. You know, he was a good friends to a lot of the top people like Oprah, a lot of the movie people. He was friends with these people, you know, so he had a lot of connections. He could help you get to that point where you need it. And we know with Quincy, it wasn't about true talent at all times. And the only reason I say that, and not to downplay none of the artists that he worked with, but he's responsible for Al B. Sure's career. And
yeah.
Al B
Not
wasn't
about
really,
Al B.
he wasn't really a vocalist per se.
Like that, yeah.
You know, everything he sung was falsetto. He didn't really have a voice.
Light skin and baby hair.
That's what he had.
Yeah, that look.
But also what he did have too, he had skills because he was a writer. He wrote a lot of songs for Keith Sweat. So now had Quincy not allowed him to do what he did for Al B, there wouldn't have been a Keith Sweat. You know, so it's a lot that I think Quincy name comes up, and it only makes sense for us to, you know, give him his flowers, which of course Quincy was getting flowers you know, before he even left this earth. Again, you know, he's one of the biggest producers and composers that I know of in my lifetime. And I'll never forget who Quincy Jones was, you know, and some of the artists that he produced. So I think to any up and coming musician or artist, if you've never listened to a Quincy Jones song or Quincy Jones, anything Quincy Jones had anything to do with, if you haven't listened to anything, I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the older stuff that he created and his mind frame of where he was trying to go being creative, I think is what you have to be able to seek. Now, if you're an artist that's truly creative, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. But however, if you're an artist that just feels like you're the best artist, then there is no understanding for you. And you'll forever be the best artist in your own opinion. Come back next week. Peace.
So that's all, y'all, for this edition of Music Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Come back tomorrow and check out True Tuesday with K Money. Hit that like button, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, The 52 Scott Podcast. Follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast.